better person in the world to speak to about songwriting for this Ask session. JC Stewart sits in front of me. We're in his kitchen at the minute. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very good, yeah. I'm all good. I'm ready to grill you with some of the questions that
Well,
we've
I'm
just.
being, it's about 30 degrees here, so I feel like I'm already being grilled by the weather. So this is just a double grilling, I suppose.
It's a double grilling. You're like a triple cooked chip right at the minute. Um, but like, yeah, we've got a lot of questions have come true for you. So I'm going to kick off with: is there a right way to approach writing a song? What comes first, lyrics, music, melody? Is it always the same way, or is it different every time?
Absolutely not. There's no way. I haven't figured it out yet. If there is a right way, I would love to know if somebody does. But no, we were just talking before. It's like I started writing songs in a way that I don't write songs like now. Like I think it morphs over time. Currently, what I'm doing is I'm sitting with a song for a long, long time before I even start writing it. If that makes sense, I like to have the concept, what it is, what the piece is, and I'm kind of approaching it more like by pieces than just songs in terms of what you want to get across to people and what you want people to feel when they listen to it, what you want the words to say, that sort of stuff, more than the music side of it. And once I have that, then for me it's going into the music. I find writing personally, I find writing melodies easier than I find writing lyrics. So therefore, if I start with the hard bit, the rest of it, in theory, should come in around it. Doesn't always happen like that. But like, I mean, people do it so many different ways. Like if you look at Elton John, Elton had a guy who wrote the lyrics, and then Elton would sit with a page in front of him and would sing the song from the lyrics. And then there's other people who do the complete opposite. Um, so yeah, there's no right way of doing it. It's just the one thing I would say is take time with stuff, come back to stuff, be open to revisiting things, and even if you think it's perfect, and then 2 days later you listen back and you're like, try it. And it might not. I mean, it might be perfect first time, but always be open to just re-going and rehashing stuff and seeing what happens.
Is there a way of putting yourself into like a better mental sphere to write than not? Like, is there ways of like when you're just generally living and you're thinking that's not a good way to live and write? You need to like be writing every day, or you need to be doing things a specific way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it depends what situation you're in. I went through a period this year, definitely, of not being able to write anything I cared about because I was so worried about writing something that would get on the radio that I forgot that why I was actually writing songs and what I was writing about or for, and it was just nothingness. And it was actually when I took the pressure off myself and started writing songs that I wanted to hear or that I would listen to or that I would go to a concert and hear more than, and it sounds mental that, but sometimes you get lost in the whole thing and you have to really come back and figure out where it was you started. And I think that's the best mental headspace when you're not putting too much pressure on it. Just write songs that feel like you. And if it doesn't have a chorus, it doesn't have a chorus. If it doesn't have this, well, it doesn't matter. If it feels like something you want to sound like, then that's the most authentic, best way to do it. But I think it is writing with no pressure. And if that's writing every day, then great. I did that for a long time. But right now, I'm not doing that. Right now, I'm doing like 3 days a week, and just using the rest of the time to kind of live my life and be inspired and try and find stuff that I
That,
feel that I can work on.
that inspiration is so important. Like, how do you use that, and like how do you challenge yourself to write better songs?
I listen to a lot of music. I listen, and I've stopped listening to music that's out right now because I find you can easily get caught in that and trying to chase that. But yeah, listen to people that really inspire you, that you're nowhere near, that you're like they're like the ones. I just have a playlist of about 40 songs now. I've had it for like a month, and that is all I listen to because they're the only songs that I kind of want to be influenced by at the minute. And I'm like, I just love that. And also like you can do like I do pretentious things like go to galleries or go like read silly books or whatever, but it all helps. It genuinely does, just trying to put your mind in other places and just open up and relaxing, and um it'll hit you when it hits you. And like sometimes you're looking for it and it's not there. And then 2 months later, because you were struggling so much about not being inspired, you're in a different place and you can look back and be like, well, actually, that's something to write about as well. So it's just a lot of that.
Do you do many co-writes?
I used to do all day, every day, sometimes 2 a day. When I first started in London, I was on that scene, and it did cool things for me, and I loved it, and I still do them. But I've just personally narrowed my circle down to the people I know who can push me to be a better songwriter. But I highly recommend it. I think working with your friends is better than working with a big songwriter who you think you're going to work well with. Um, I only work with really like my best mate, who's my guitarist, and people in my band, and like 2 other people now. And it's just, yeah, I think there's something to be said about working with the people around you who really get you, more than going and trying to find a big songwriter who's written a big song or whatever to try and understand you. Because the most of the time they won't, because they don't know you. So it'll take a long time. So yeah, co-writing is amazing, but I think doing it with your friends is something that's quite underrated.
Is it worthwhile trying out for somebody that's not tried it before?
100%. Like, oh, my biggest thing in music is just collaboration's everything, in terms of like everybody we love listening to is collaborated in some shape or form in something. And I think when I grew up in Northern Ireland, I felt a bit of I don't know, a bit of like a stigma towards sometimes writing songs with other people or collaborating with other people. It was like, oh, you're not doing it yourself, you can't do that. And it's completely not that. It's completely opening yourself up to new ideas and pushing the boundaries and experimenting and having fun with it, which is what we do this for, which I think we often forget. It's because we love it and we have fun with it, and playing music with your mates or writing with your mates is as good as it gets, to be honest.
In your experience, like what, not even just like for yourself, but just generally from other people that you've seen come up, because you have a lot of peers that are probably at the same level as you are, or below, or slightly above. What is the best way to get your foot in the door if you're just starting out?
It's a tough question. It's because I often think about, I've been doing this for like 9 years now. I started quite young in Northern Ireland and I just did everything. And it's hard to pinpoint one thing that kind of lifts you up. It's like you just got to try and find opportunities, be a bit creative about it, and just do it all, and something will give at some point. And that it's a really horrible answer to that, because if I was told that when I was 15 or 16, I'd be like, what? What am I meant to do? And I don't know the answer, because even music now, since when I started, is so different. But yeah, it's playing shows. It is, you know, sending your music out to people you think would like it, and just trying to find your champions and people who get you, and just doing all of it. And I know that's a horrible answer, but it's like you just gotta find your lane in it, and just, yeah, put out music is probably a good way to do it, really.
Songwriters talk to other songwriters, and listen to interviews with other people on podcasts, and read voraciously about other songwriters. What are the best tips that you've picked up from other people about songwriting along the way?
Like one of my heroes is Foy Vance. He's like my I think he's probably one of the best songwriters who's ever lived, never mind out of Northern Ireland. And he is somebody who just writes honestly, and he doesn't mince his words, and sometimes he makes people feel uncomfortable in his music. And I think that's a really important thing, to not try and water down what you're doing, which I have done in the past and regret doing, but not try and water down what you're doing to try and make things more palatable or make things better. And just say what you want to say, and don't worry about if people like it or not. And I get that's easy to say as well, but that's how people are going to really get you in this. And yeah, just being open to ideas is also cool, but without losing yourself, which is a very hard balance to take. Yeah, just be nice to people. I know that sounds silly, but there's a lot of people, I think, in music who are kind of, I think they get scared or they get intimidated or whatever, and there's different things. But yeah, everybody's cool. Be nice. Everybody's nice, and then we're good.
JC Stewart, thank you so much for expelling your words of wisdom.
Oh, thanks, Phil. I don't know if any of that's useful, but sure, here we are. It's fine.